up to the global community and the globe in general. We also have a gamut of activities that our organization is doing, and just to comment right away on the junior level marketing person, that's not me, thankfully. Our development banking division is headed by a global president who also heads corporate finance. So it's very ensconced into the way we do business. So just a couple of examples to show you the gamut of things that we're doing. We are working with social enterprises, all the way from finding the gaps in the way it is that they're reaching markets and making business solutions happen, whether they need help with their business products, all the way to actually offering investment banking services so that they can bring those solutions to scale. We have an advisory group that's working on a triple bottom line approach to get our corporate clients to do more of the triple bottom line kind of activities, looking at their own CSR in a strategic way, going beyond philanthropy. We also have pro bono services that we're giving to NGOs to actually accomplish whatever it is that their mission is. And we also have an environmental and social policy which basically naturally gets our business to focus more on sustainable ventures as opposed to non-sustainable ventures. Our environmental and social policy basically requires that all deals go through this policy. And so, for example, we're Islam's main bank and have been working with them, and they're clearly a responsible organization. My main takeaway from my presentation was to talk about how our focus is on our core competencies, our focus on CSR. We do not do philanthropy. There's a little bit of it that happens, but that's not the focus. We don't talk about what percentage of our profits we're putting towards our CSR, because that's not a focus. Our focus is on our core competencies as a bank, as an institution with a lot of smart people working in this area. But we're constantly thinking about how is it that we can creatively come up with solutions to solve the issues of a developing country and make us a global leader.
Very interesting deliberation that we've been having since morning, and I hope I can bring into all this a fresh perspective. So I'm essentially going to touch on three basic things before we get to the floor here. One, my objective is to be able to provoke discussion and to be able to provoke the audience and the intelligentsia that's here. The second would be to share with the audiences here our understanding of what corporate sustainability is all about, and I believe I have a responsibility to share it with you considering I'm from the House of the Tatas. And then I'll also indicate to you 2 or 3 small cases where we've gone ahead and made a difference to millions upon millions of lives. I was involved with SOCHAM the last year, and they had put together a huge forum which was a global audience coming in, and I'm not so sure what they titled the program, but this was on it was like a global initiative on corporate sustainability, and this happened the last year. President Abdul Kalam had come in and inaugurated and post his departure the first session, and I was the fire starter chair on that session. And I started by asking the audience just one question, which is exactly what I did with Dr. Bajaj here. Is this that how many practitioners that actually sat there who happen to be corporate sustainability managers, vice presidents, presidents, or perhaps even junior managers who actually get consulted when a company needs to roll out a new product or a marketing thing. And allow me to share with you that there were several of them out there, and I have no qualms in admitting that, including the Tatas, there wasn't a single hand that stood up. So first and foremost, we need to integrate corporate social responsibility into a business. Otherwise, it's only going to remain corporate social responsibility, and we can be pedantic about it, but it's never going to go beyond the semantics. We've seen 2 or 3 extremely socially responsible campaigns, one in the recent past, and there are perhaps several others, as have been pointed out in the media, in the media domain, if I may, Raji. And One is the Jagore campaign, which is doing some phenomenal work out there, and people are beginning to appreciate as to what is the opportunity that they have to shape the nation. So that for one. And if we recall the Benetton campaign that got launched many years ago, and Benetton has actually gone ahead and hit apartheid and brought about a sustainable change to people's perceptions about the black and the white. The very enduring image which is on my mind, which is that of a black mother breastfeeding a white child. And and that's one of those most enduring images that I have on my mind just now as we speak. I have, beyond this, those were one or two things that I needed to discuss. I've gone ahead and done some research, and I find that immediately post-independence, there were some 400 odd districts that the country had, and not exceeding 12 districts had a distinct problem of whether it was the ULFA or whether it was the Nexal then and so on. Whereas today, out of 612 districts, I hope that statistic is right, Rajiv, out of 612 districts today, it is official that 168 districts are today afflicted with the problem of terrorism. Now, terrorism comes from spaces in the market. Where there are markets, there is no terrorism. But it comes from spaces in the markets. The spaces exist in the far-flung areas of the northeast. They are available in Jharkhand. They are available in the forests of Madhya Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh. And that's where the spaces are, because the markets have not reached there. Because as business people, commercial organizations, and rightly so, they have an opportunity to be able to convince their stakeholders that whatever they're doing is good for the stakeholders, therefore they don't essentially venture into these areas. And these are the hotbeds of terrorism today. The more that corporates do not come forward and realign their focus with respect to the triple bottom line approach, I suspect that their only market is going to, the market is only going to, market size is only going to get shrunk or constrained to growing vertically rather than laterally. And they possibly have to exist in multi-storied office complexes which will rise up 300 floors above the ground level, because they will not be able to go ahead and set up an office in Bhind or in Gujarat or in some of the far-flung areas that I pointed out. And this, to our mind, is at the core of our initiative when we look at corporate sustainability. So in a line, if I were to sum it up, I would say it is to us the fact that there is a space in the market and that there is a market in that space. And we discover those markets. When we do business development, that for us is business development of existing businesses. When we do market creation, that to us is identifying markets in the spaces that exist. And I'd like to point out just two basic projects that we did. There's several others really, but two that I'm especially proud of. And just so that they tell us that the old ancient Indian saying which says that when you shut one eye, you also don't hear everything. And that essentially is it, because business organizations, commercial establishments get so focused at their bottom line, get so focused at their customers, get so focused at identifying how to sort of get a larger share of the market that they lose track of some of these. So one initiative was one that we undertook in a small village called Virampattinam, which is a little beyond Pondicherry. We were there for a retreat. And one of the things that we ended up asking the fishermen was, why was it that we found they weren't using too many mobile phones? And they came up to us and said, well, the fish doesn't talk on mobiles, so what do we do with the mobile phones? And besides, our communities, they all marry here and there and so on, so they don't travel far from us, so we're happy where we are. But what uses a mobile phone to us? So now there is a larger issue. So I'll briefly touch upon the larger issues, is that mobile phones, in order for the mobile phones to propagate or to get populated in the country, there are 3 A's, as we like to call them. There is the issue of access, there is the issue of affordability, and the third is the issue of applications, right? Ignorance that resides in the rural areas, as much as it resides in my own mind, is of 2 types. One is where I would say, I don't know. The other is where I would say, I don't even know if I don't know. So I really didn't even know if I didn't know whether to laugh or to sort of walk away from there, but that was one thought that clearly set my mind thinking. I Googled, and Uncle Google told me that there is the Indian Center for Oceanography Studies that exists in Hyderabad. So I said, this fish lives in the ocean, so I need to figure out the habitat. So let's go to Hyderabad. And the company is kind, so I traveled to Hyderabad, stayed at the Inquise for about 3 days, trying to figure out what is Inquise all about. And they are mapping the surface of the sea for some 140, 145 or different types of activities. One such activity, and when they narrated those activities, it was all blur. It just went past, cut, and eventually, for one of those activities on the second or the third day that we came to recognize was that they also mapped the surface of the sea for floating chlorophyll. Now, floating chlorophyll or phytoplanktons, as it is, are the food for the fish. So that led us to